Come into the high afternoon. Hold on, let me get, got to put the latest breaking news on. All right, let's do this again, right? The problems I have with smart TVs. All right, so let's see how long it takes for CNN to come on. Again, I always use the scenario of, back in the day, someone might call you, quick, put on Channel 7 News or whatever, and you'd be like, okay, and boom, you'd put the news on, and it was instantaneous. So now let's play that. Someone calls me in 2023. Quick, put on CNN. Okay, all right. Bong, 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 bong. Hold on, it's not moving. Bong, bong, bong. There we go. Now it overshot it. Okay, hold on. Is the breaking news still happening? All right, here we go. All right, now CNN has been engaged. I clicked on the app. Remember, your friend has just called. Something's happening. They want you to catch it on the news right away. Hold on. The app's loading. Dude, you're missing it. I know. It's buffering. It's buffering right now. Wait, the screen just went totally black. I can't tell if the TV's on or not. What do I do? It's just completely black. Oh, this isn't. No, now it's buffering it. See, this is just because we have the technology. There we go. All right, so that was about a minute. About a minute. It took the smart TV to actually turn on the breaking news that I was alerted to by a friend. And by the way, that's what we do here on this show. We do breaking news. We do headlines, hot topics, trends. Every Monday through Friday, I sit down right here and I try and give you a list of all the things that are important. Things that I think are important. What we don't do is stupid divisive crap. We don't do none of that. We don't do politics. We do politics. I mean, we talk politics. I mean, we don't talk. We talk about politics. We don't speak politically. Does that make sense? I don't know. The point is this. I think people on the right are crazy. I think people on the left are crazy. I think that there's a percentage of us here in this country that are in the middle, the silent middle. And that's what this show is for. So if you're one of them, look, we're not going to turn anybody away. My God, we're not doing this 2 years every Monday through Friday. We ain't turning anybody away. I promise you that. There's a guy on TV wearing the exact same shirt I have. See, I'm distracted. That's the other thing about this show. It is a 2-hour stream of consciousness. No stops, no breaks, no music, no traffic, no weather, no commercials, no nothing. Just me talking for 2 hours about the world. Sometimes I'm going to get distracted by a guy on CNN wearing the exact same shirt that I have. And it's not like just a blue shirt. It's like a patterned shirt. It's like I have that shirt. Anyway. I believe that's a J. Crew shirt. I believe that's where that shirt came from. Where was I? Okay, stream of consciousness, headlines, current events. We don't dabble. We don't dip our toe in political nonsense. I try to give you. What else? And you know what it is? It's an act of kindness. That's what it is. It's an act of kindness. I'm just trying to make sure that you out there aren't running around and suddenly somebody accosts you and says, "Hey, did you hear about?" And you got to listen to them. That's terrible. I'm going to tell you just about every little thing that you need to know. Breonna Keeler wearing some crazy red pants. CNN is doing. I know I'm distracted by the TV news. CNN is like changing up their directors and stuff. Like I mean, I don't know, probably the same director, but they're taking shots differently. Like they're now standing a lot. Like CNN, they're standing up like it's Fox Football Sunday or whatever. They always stand. They're doing that a lot. And Breonna Keeler's got some crazy red pants on. What else do I need to say? Let's see here. You guys. You gorgeous sons of bitches. Come on in. Get in the chat room. I see Jeff. I see Byron. I see Sally. Sally. I don't call her Sally. I call her Mama Bella. That's who I see. Byron, Barney, Taronda. The huge crowd. Come on, everybody. Get your beanbag chairs, your futons, your yoga mats. Form the soul circle of life. Join hands as we try and figure out this crazy world on this particular day. And to that point, what we do here is we give you all the headlines and all that stuff of today. But before we do that, we look back in time. We do a little thing we had this day in history. We go through some events that have shaped this day. Then we do the birthdays, people born on this day. We look at their lives to this point because many of them are still alive. And then we do deaths. That's right. This is the fun part. I knew there was something fun. There was a way that we could make death fun. And we struggled for a while, but we finally, I think we hit on something. And what I'm enjoying doing now is we go through the people who passed away on this day. We hold their entire lives in judgment and we decide, are they in heaven or hell? That's right. Well, power. Everybody feels good with a little power. And for a moment there, we have it. This show runs on your tips, I always like to say. So go ahead if you feel so inclined. But man, we don't have to push. We made it. It took 6 days. Took 6 days. And on the last day, you magnificent sons of bitches, as I channel George C. Scott. We got it. We are through. So thank you all to you folks. We can stop. I can stop feeling like a sketchy evangelist now. Ugh, God, I hate that part of it all. But thank you so much. So without further ado, what do you say we get started with today's high noon show? Let's hold on. Again, I can go on for a few minutes about my problems with Google Drive and how they can fix it. Although I use it in a very specific way, so maybe fixing the problems to suit me wouldn't be the greater good, wouldn't serve the greater good. So who knows? Today is 9/7/23. That is September the 7th, year of our Lord, 2023. September the 7th is the 250th day of the year. There are 115 more of these remaining. Let's do a little segment we like to call on this show, Erstwhile on this day. That's right. Or if you're so inclined, previously on this day. We look back in history. On this day in 1630, the city of Boston, Massachusetts is founded. Sure, you want me to riff on Boston? Okay. I despise all of their sports teams. Their sports teams are just some of the most obnoxious collections of ugh. With that said, love Boston. Love the city of Boston. One of my favorite American cities. Boston is such a fun city, especially if you're a tourist. If you're just going for the weekend, you go, oh my God, you drink. It's a drinking town. You better drink. Also, they have good food. I think I had the best Italian meal of my life at a little waterside Italian restaurant there in downtown Boston. Fantastic. On this day in 1630, Boston was founded. On this day in 1921, in Atlantic City, New Jersey, the first Miss America pageant, a 2-day event, is held. That's right, Miss America on this day in 1921, the very first one. Never been to Atlantic City. I can't wax poetic about eating Italian seafood on the wharf there. I can't. I've done that in Boston. A few other cities. Atlantic City isn't one of them. Is the Miss America pageant still a thing? What does that feel? It feels like such a relic of a bygone era. Here I am in 2023. I'm like, is Miss America even still a thing? Do we still have a Miss America? Is that something that we do? Because here's what's so fascinating about this. I say this a lot. This is if you were to stop anybody, a man on the street, you're on a street corner in Boston. Why not? You're on a street corner in Boston in 1961. You could stop anybody and you could say, see, pal, who's the heavyweight champ of the world? And that random dude would tell you who the heavyweight champion of the world is. And then you'd say, see, and who's Miss America? And they'd know who Miss America was. And then you'd say, and who won the Kentucky Derby? They'd know the Kentucky Derby winner. 1961. Those three things are so completely gone in 2023. Nobody can name the heavyweight champion of the world because there's 15 of them and nobody's really interesting. I guess Tyson Fury is, but he retired. And he didn't capitalize when he could. Horse racing? Nobody. In Miss America, I'm sitting here going, boy, on this day in 1921, the very first Miss America pageant was held. I don't even know if it's still a thing. It seems stupid. I mean, I used to watch it when I was a horny little boy, all horny little boys. And by the way, had there been maybe 2 other channels to choose from, I may not have even watched Miss America, but I watched it. And I remember the whole time thinking, I don't get it. I remember I used to always say, why are they, because I didn't know, because I was 14. I'd be like, why are the swimsuits one pieces? Why aren't they in bikini? I didn't, right? Because a bikini, because that would be sexualizing them. Oh, this entire thing is sexualizing them. What are you talking about? Whatever. Now it's probably a scholarship program. On this day in 1927, the first fully electronic television system is achieved by Philo Farnsworth. That's right. If there is a day that we can put our finger on and say television was invented on this day, this is as close a date as we can come to that. television wasn't like some other things that were invented. Like some things were invented where dudes went, I think I got something. And then they went, look what I built. That's not really how television came to be. Television was all put together on this day and possibly, born, I don't know, this is a very controversial subject, by Philo Farnsworth, but it was the combination of a bunch of other inventions made by a bunch of other people that all came together to create television. So anyway, let's just say if TV has a birthday, let's go with today, the day Philo Farnsworth first produced his fully electronic television system. It's a bit wordy. TV. I can see why they shortened it to TV. On this day in 1940, during World War II, the German Luftwaffe begins the Blitz, which would be a 50 consecutive night bombing of London. And the events of this day and the next 50 or 49 that would follow it shaped a lot of rock and roll. Oh yeah, all those early dudes like lived through this. The Rolling Stones, they lived through it. The Beatles, Beatles were little babies when bombs were falling. That's crazy because London, well, by modern standards, it's like, could you imagine 50 days of just bombs falling from the sky all over London in 2023? But it started on this day in 1940. On this day in 1963, the Pro Football Hall of Fame opens in Canton, Ohio. 17 charter members are the original class. And look at this. I don't know if this is by design. Maybe. Wait, where are they playing? No, it's a real game. Okay. Because the NFL season kicks off tonight with the Chiefs and the Lions. Chiefs, Super Bowl champion Chiefs, and the glamour pick for a lot of people, the Detroit Lions. It should be a good game. I don't know. I'm an NFC North guy because of my Bears, so I'm interested in seeing what the Lions can put up against the Chiefs. So, I got that interest. But it was on this day. Look, it's the anniversary, the opening of the Pro Football Hall of Fame on this day in 1963. On this day in 1978, while walking across Waterloo Bridge in London, Bulgarian dissident Georgi Markov is assassinated by Bulgarian secret police by means of a ricin pellet fired from a specially designed umbrella. How cool is that? 1978, man. I'm telling you, I don't know what we got now as far as like cool ass spy toys. But first of all, a ricin pellet fired from an umbrella. Man, that's straight up out of the Penguin from the Batman movies. That's like, this is the 70s Cold War. Man, that's when spying had panache. That's when now, do we still have this stuff? Do we have, because we always see in the spy movies all these cool ass gadgets, but I was always like, that's not real. Yeah, that's not real. That Aston Martin doesn't fly. You know what I mean? There was like, I lent a little bit of a rope for creativity and Hollywood imagination. But apparently, there's dudes in 1978 walking around with umbrellas with ricin tips that fire like the Penguin. Let's see. On this day in 2008, the United States government takes control of the two largest mortgage financing companies in the United States, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Remember this? This was the start, 2008. Oh my God, everything went bad. You know what? Don't even want to talk about that anymore. Let's move on, because now we get to the segment where I don't have any music rights. Otherwise, I'd play the Beatles song, but I can't. So it's Buona, Buona, Buona. Today is their birthday. Buona, Buona, Buona. Or so they claim. Birthdays. We're going to talk about people celebrating birthdays today. This is where we look at some celebrities and we hold their lives in the balance. Buddy Holly, born on this day in 1936, American singer, songwriter, and guitarist. Man, that's one of those. Buddy Holly's one of those things. Like, he's legendary and he's iconic and he's mythical in many regards for what Buddy Holly did. You have to understand, Buddy Holly was a country kid from Lubbock who knew exactly what he wanted. He wrote his own songs. He arranged his own music. The band played the way he told the band to play. And then he got brought to New York City. They took him over to the Brill Building, and they set him up with a whole bunch of songwriters and producers. And Buddy Holly, just this rube kid from Lubbock, was like, nah, sorry. I'm going back to Lubbock if you're going to have Carole King and Burt Bacharach writing my music. Nothing against them. They're legends, but it wasn't what Buddy Holly was. Buddy Holly was the first. And possibly even like the first rock and roll act to really break out, to be discovered by a big New York company. But he was the first. He was definitely the first to be his own producer, to write his own music, to arrange his own music. He was, in his time, considered an eccentric genius with this stuff because nobody had done it before. I mean, now, please, don't be disingenuous. Don't look back on some of the production methods used by Buddy Holly in 19 whatever 60, or, and then go, or late 50s, I guess it would be. And then go, oh, well, that's just, no, because, you have the benefit of all the stuff that came after him. He was first, man. He was the first artist that the record company went, this guy's kind of good at stuff. Maybe we ought to let him just produce it. And because of that, because of what he was, and because of what he represented, the type of artist that he was, had he lived, I mean, I wonder Buddy Holly, like, does Buddy Holly continue having hits throughout the 60s? Does Buddy Holly go psychedelic in the 70s? What is Buddy Holly? He's really cool. I know that. He's really cool. Anyway, it was on this day in 1936 that Buddy Holly was born in Lubbock, Texas. One of my very earliest jobs in radio was I used to do this bit, Where's Pugs? Where, we were a morning show. So at 5 o'clock in the morning when we'd start, I'd be at the airport getting on a plane. And that plane would take me somewhere during the course of the show. And then listeners would have to guess where I am. And once they guessed where I was, then the listener in Chicago would have to call a friend or a family member or somebody in the random city where I was, because I was never in the middle of nowhere, except in this case. And they would tag me, and then they would all win plane tickets. It was a good bit. It was called Where Was I? So I went to Lubbock, Texas for Buddy Holly's birthday. But it wasn't just Buddy Holly's birthday. Well, I was supposed to be sitting on Buddy Holly's grave, right? So that's where I was. Where's Pugs? He's sitting on Buddy Holly's grave in Lubbock, Texas. But something had occurred at Texas Tech like a couple of days before. And it's their horse, their horse that comes running out, their horse died. Like, he came running. A car dealership had apparently given out Frisbees. So, okay, this is the story. I know it's supposed to be Buddy Holly's birthday talk, but I got to tell you the story about this horse at Texas Tech. So this was 1994. This horse comes charging out of the tunnels with the Texas Tech mascot on the back. Come on, let's win. The horse comes charging out of the tunnels, and the saddle breaks. And the rider is basically dragged for a minute and then thrown from the horse. The horse panics because it's in a football stadium and people are going, ah! They're all freaking out, and suddenly the dry rider's gone. So now the horse is running nuts across the field. Whoa, riderless. The horse gets to the track by the tunnel. The horse is making a beeline right for the tunnel. The horse gets to the track by the tunnel, and unfortunately, a local car dealer had handed out Frisbees that day. So a whole bunch of Frisbees had been thrown onto the field and onto the track. And the track is like, a horse's hooves on grass doing a certain speed is one thing. But then when it hits the track, and remember, it's panicked, you can guess what happened. The horse slipped. But the horse slipped because the horse stepped on a Frisbee. And the Frisbee went, I don't mean to laugh. It was tragic. The horse slammed into the wall. It had to be euthanized. A tragic event. And I covered it because I was down there doing Buddy Holly's birthday, who was born on this day in 1936. Now that was a stream of consciousness right there. Born on this day in 1943, and by all accounts, still surviving, Gloria Gaynor. That's right, Gloria Gaynor, disco queen. I will survive. I don't know anymore. That's we have all heard that song a million times, and we've never intentionally played it. Right? Isn't that one of them songs? You know what else is a song like that? It's raining men. Hallelujah. I've heard that song a million times, and I have never intentionally played it. It's just places. I'm just places, and I hear it. That's kind of how I will survive will be. Gloria Gaynor. Born on this day in 1943. Born on this day in 1944, Earl Manigault. Who is Earl Manigault? No, he's no relation to Omarosa. Earl Manigault is very interesting in that he is responsible for something that is so overused. Whatever this new generation is, the GOAT, right? The GOAT. He's the GOAT. I'm the GOAT of tweet. I'm the GOAT of Instagram. I'm the GOAT, the GOAT. Greatest of all time. It's an acronym. Guess where it started? It started with Earl Manigault. Earl Manigault is the widely considered to be the greatest basketball player to never have played in the NBA. He's a street legend. He has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was asked who the greatest player was that he ever played against, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said Earl the Goat Manigault. The Goat was a nickname that was given to him when he was very young and just dominating everybody at basketball. And it was an acronym for greatest of all time. And this is all the way back in the 70s. So the original GOAT, you want to talk about people. He's the GOAT. He's this, he's that. The original GOAT was Earl the Goat Manigault, born on this day in 1944. Didn't play in the NBA. Here's what happened. So he's from Rucker Park. He's one of these Rucker Park legends, which is New York City's famous playgrounds where all the NBA players come to test their mettle against the supposed great street ballers. So Earl Manigault was one of those guys. He's the king of Rucker Park. And as a matter of fact, I think that's the name of a documentary, The King of Rucker Park, about him. And he came from the projects, and, he wasn't really school oriented. So he didn't like the college. There was no colleges that could get him in. So he ended up going to a small college with the intention of, getting his grades up and then transferring to a big college where he would then matriculate through and into the NBA, and he'd be, whatever. But it didn't work out for him. He failed out of the college that gave him his shot, and he kept sneaking away to play at the playgrounds. He's an idiot. I mean, that's fair. I mean, he didn't have a long time. He should have he should have recognized his talent and gone, you know what, there's a way to cash in on this. Instead, he dicked around and he never landed on the NBA radar. NBA scouts weren't even I think he may have later, once his legend began to grow, he may have gotten tryouts and stuff. But by that point, he was a heroin junkie. So, 30-year-old heroin junkie who's also the king of the street basketball world. That's probably not going to make it in the NBA. But that Earl the Goat Manigault, born on this day in 1944. Born on this day in 1950, Julie Kavner. Of course, we all know her as Rhoda's little sister in Rhoda. Remember Julie Kavner, Rhoda's little sister? She did nothing else after that. She was Rhoda's little sister. Of course, she's Marge Simpson. Oh my God, one of the iconic characters in American cultural history. Marge Simpson was born on this day in 1950. Happy birthday, Julie Kavner. Born on this day in 1951, a real bitch. That's a quote from my partner, Kelly. Chrissie Hynde was born on this day in 1951. Of course, Chrissie Hynde from The Pretenders. Chrissie Hynde was on our show once, and she had put a book out. No, I think it was an interview that she had just recently given about her vegan lifestyle and how she could make vegan hamburgers that taste better than hamburgers. And so we're interviewing Chrissie Hynde. The Pretenders are playing. She's on the phone. She can't be bothered to come in because apparently Chrissie Hynde thinks she's bigger than she is. And so she's on the phone and we're talking to her. And why not? Because she's a pretender and I got questions. She came up with Malcolm McLaren in the punk scene in the 1970s there in London. She was an American girl who moved to London and became indoctrinated into the hardcore punk world. She was hanging out with the Sex Pistols. So anyway, that's where the Pretenders came from. Malcolm McLaren. So I had questions. I wanted to talk to Chrissie Hynde about stuff, but my partner Kelly, she said, and rightfully so, she said, so look, I was just looking at this article that you recently gave about your veganism, and I'm very interested in how you can make hamburgers. And basically, it was a kind interview. It was friendly. And Chrissie Hynde goes, oh my God. This was Chrissie Hynde's response. Oh my God. Oh, really? Okay. All right. It's this kind of show. And she got that far. And my partner Kelly goes, you know what? You're a real bitch. Just hung up on her. Just went boom. And I'm sitting there. I'm going, I had questions about Malcolm McLaren and stuff. And Kelly's looking at me like it's my show too, dick. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's true. Bye, Chrissie Hynde. So yeah, she was a bitch. She was just real snotty. Man, I'm sorry that your record company is making you do radio interviews that you don't want to do so that you can cash checks because we're going to keep your brand out there and make it seem like you're an interesting, cool person. I'm so sorry that you have to come on and be nice for 5 minutes. Oh, she's a bitch. Although, she did come from the punk scene, so what do you expect? I mean, maybe it is totally on brand for her to be a bitch and get hung up on. Anyway, it didn't affect. I went to the concert. It was sold out. It was a great show. It was Stray Cats, The Pretenders, and somebody else. I don't know, whatever. Moving on. It was REM. That's what it was. It was the REM tour, and the Pretenders and the Stray Cats were the opening acts. That's what it was. Yeah, it was a good concert. So maybe it was more sold out because of REM, but whatever. Born on this day in 1951, that bitch. You're a real bitch, Chrissy Hine. Born on this day in 1954, Corbin Burnson, American actor. What happened, Corbin? What? You were Arnie Becker from LA Law? You were everywhere. You were like people's sexiest man. Then you did the Major League movies, and we all thought, hey, you're funny. He's good. And then like what? Nothing? You didn't get 3 men and a baby, and you just gave up? I don't know. I don't know what happened. Corbin Burnson, he just told, I wonder what he looks like now. Corbin Burnson, I bet he's a handsome devil. I bet he's a silver fox. Born on this day in 1956. All right, we're going to have to take a minute here because this is a woman who I've been fascinated by for a long time because years ago I was getting really into like, I thought I might go into records, band management, recording industry, being a record guy, a rack jobber, if you will. So I started just reading all of these books about the industry, not about, Tales from the Road with Led Zeppelin. No, stories about how Led Zeppelin was signed and, stuff like that. And there's a number of good ones. One of the best one is Mansion on the Hill, is a fantastic book about the record industry, about all the money that is in there. And then there's Hitmen. Hitmen is another really good story about Ahmet Ertegun and Clive Davis. And I don't know. Anyway, my point is this. So I started coming across this person constantly. And I'm like, Jesus, who is this person? And now here we are like 23 years later, 40 years later, whatever. And this person is not a household name, but my God, it is difficult to imagine that she wouldn't be on a top 10 list of the most culturally significant people in the history of modern America. It is born on this day in 1956, someone named Diane Warren. Did you guys know who Diane Warren is? No, of course you don't, because she's a songwriter. And she is like the most prolific and successful songwriter in the history of people who have written songs. Here, let me just dive into her Wikipedia page. Here's the first thing it says. Diane Warren is an American songwriter. She has won an Academy Honorary Award, a Grammy Award, and an Emmy Award, 2 Golden Globe Awards, and 3 consecutive Billboard Music Awards for Songwriter of the Year. Those aren't just the awards she's won. She's got like 1 million Grammys. Those are just Songwriter of the Year awards that she's won. Warren's career was jump-started in 1985 with, so this was her first single. This is the first number one. She's got like 10 number one hits. 10! The Beach Boys have 1. She alone has 10. Led Zeppelin has none. Anyway, so her first hit was To the Beat of the Rhythm of the Night. Remember DeBarge back in the 80s? Yeah, and that's what her career is, man. Her career is just nonstop one-hit wonders by everyone from Milli Vanilli to DeBarge, and then historic, iconic songs by people like Celine Dion, Aerosmith, and Cher. She is like out of her mind. Warren has written 9. Okay, here you go. Warren has written 9 number one songs and 32 top 10 songs. Her number ones include If I Could Turn Back Time. Remember that big Cher come? If I could turn back time. Because You Loved Me by Celine Dion. Ugh, God, that song's awful. I'm not saying she's great. I'm saying she's prolific and her music has impacted the culture of this country. Celine Dion's Because You Love Me. How Do I Live by Leon Rimes, another number one hit. I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith. Yeah, all the worst Aerosmith songs were written by Diane Warren. 2 of the top 13 hits in the Hot 100's 57-year history were written by Warren. She has been inducted into... Okay, we don't need to know. We don't need to know any of this. Crazy. Let's see. She's been called the Emily Dickinson of pop. Okay. Warren continues to write hit songs for and with artists of all mainstream genres. Okay, so here are the artists that she has written hits for, not the songs. Stevie B, Celine Dion, Cheap Trick, En Vogue, Whitney Houston, Belinda Carlisle, Taylor Dayne, Britney Spears, Marsha Hines, Alice Cooper, Christina Aguilera, Beyonce, TLC, Aaliyah, Hart, Elton John, Cher, Tina Turner, Bryan Adams, Selena, Jessica Simpson, Air Supply, Olivia Newton-John, Barbara Streisand, Aretha Franklin, Roberta Flack, Roy Orbison, Trisha Yearwood, Patti LaBelle, Michael Bolton, NSYNC, Gloria Estefan, Reba McEntire, Enrique Iglesias, Russell Watson, Rod Stewart, Aerosmith, The Cult. What Diane Warren song did she write for The Cult? Kiss, Ricky Martin, Faith Hill, Meatloaf, Mariah Carey, Toni Braxton, Exposé, Sixpence None the Richer, Gavin DeGraw, Mandy Moore, Hilary Duff, Haley Duff, Lindsay Lohan, Lady Gaga, Claire Richards, Starship, and Westlife. My God! I'm serious. This woman, that is crazy. Let me put it to you this way. Do you know how much money Diane Warren has? She's a billionaire. She's absolutely a billionaire. She retains the rights to all those songs. She holds the publishing. Those people just buy her. She's at the point in her career where, oh my God, she's incredible. And she writes really cheesy stuff. But man, I'm telling you, America loves really cheesy stuff. All of those songs that I just named, your mom knows, your grandma knows, and you know. Because again, just like with Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive, we've all heard all of those songs millions of times everywhere, and we've probably never once hit play to make it play. Born on this day in 1956, Diane Warren. Born on this day in 1957, the absolute opposite of Diane Warren. This is a guy, hell, Diane Warren may have written this song, although we didn't see his name in the list of people she has written for. So, but I love this song. There's no reason for me to know this guy other than he's a one-hit wonder. Happy birthday, born on this day in 1957, to Jermaine Stewart. Who's Jermaine Stewart? Jermaine Stewart had a song, and for some reason, it makes all of my Spotify lists. It's just a banger. I mean, you can't play this song around people and have people not go, yeah, all right, yeah, this is good. Jermaine Stewart. You don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time. That's a banger. That is a timeless banger. And we never heard from him again, but happy birthday, Jermaine Stewart. Born on this day in 1957, born on this day in 1963, W. Earl Brown. He is one of the top that guy actors out there right now. W. Earl Brown is in like a whole bunch of stuff, and every time he pops on screen, I go, yeah, this is going to get good. Okay, so he is most famous for Something About Mary. He played the retarded brother of Cameron Diaz. Remember how funny he was? What was his name? I can't remember his name. I don't know, but that actor, W. Earl Brown, is now like, he's like in the 60s. But he always plays like he's either a salt of the earth guy who doesn't want to buy none of your BS, or he's like a corrupt, powerful, like banker or politician. He's great. Happy birthday, W. Earl Brown. What was the dude's name? What was his name in Something About Mary? Remember? Forgot what that dude's name was. Okay, let's see here. Born on this day in 1964, Eazy-E. There you go. That's another guy who died and became like an icon. And, let's be honest. What was Eazy-E gonna be if he had lived? Like, would Eazy, like, I guess we didn't see Ice Cube becoming, a Disney Channel guy. I guess we didn't see that when he was rapping F the Police and all that. But I don't feel like Eazy-E was the drug dealer and the money, but he turned out to have like really, really great skills as an MC. But he didn't write, right? Like Eazy-E didn't write. Did Eazy-E write? No, he didn't write. I don't know. Anyway, Eazy-E was born on this day in 1964. He's been deified. He's been, because, just like Kurt Cobain. Look, it's not just, he's been deified. Kurt Cobain's been deified. You die young. River Phoenix been deified. You die young, you get deified. Born on this day in 1967, Leslie Jones, American comedian and actress. Ugh. I don't dislike Leslie Jones. She seems fun. She seems like a nice lady, man. If I was at a party with Leslie Jones, she'd be fun. She'd be like, hey, this chick's fun. She's all loud. I just think she's one of the most overrated Saturday Night Live cast members in history. And I had an argument with a friend of mine. She was talking about how funny she was. And we were watching Saturday Night Live, and she's like, over laughing. I'm like, Leslie Jones isn't funny. She's big and loud, and she puts you on edge because you don't know what she's going to do next, but there's no wit there. There's no interesting lines that she's saying. It's all just about her getting big and mad and being crazy. And I said to this girl, I go, ugh, you're laughing out of white guilt. Oh, man. Because Leslie Jones got Saturday Night Live because it just so happened Lorne Michaels was being hammered for not having any black women or women of color for that matter. I guess they had Nassim Pedrad and she would have been one of color in the but really no black women of color. So all of a sudden they had two. All of a sudden, out of that pressure, Saturday Night Live is racist. They gave us Leslie Jones, who became the star. Leslie Jones became the one that everybody's like, oh, she's great. And I'm like, no, she's really not. She's funny and she's bigger than life and, buffoonish. That's kind of her humor. It's sort of, no different than what Chris Farley did early on or John Belushi. Maybe she'd have developed into something else, but she didn't. And then the other girl that they added in the pressure was Ego Wodum. And I am sorry, but Ego Wodum is 100 times the performer that Leslie Jones is. And I don't get why Leslie Jones broke out. I don't get it. Ego Wodum is hysterical. She is one of my favorite cast members of the past 10 years. And she gets no credit. And she was brought into, it's that whole thing, hey, we got to add some black women to the show. So Lorne Michaels just went and grabbed Leslie Jones and Ego Wodum. And somehow Leslie Jones became the big famous one who got Ghostbusters and all of this stuff. And nobody is noticing the incredible comedic performances being put on. Ego Wodum has talent. She has real talent. Leslie Jones is just funny. I bet you Leslie Jones does good stand-up. I bet she gets up and she rolls around. That's fun. She's not an actress. She's always the same speed and she's always the same character. Yeah, it didn't go over well when I accused the girl of laughing out of white guilt. It didn't. And I didn't expect it to. I think I was just at that point trying to set her off because that's why relationships don't last with me. All right, that's going to do it for birthdays. Buonam. Those are the birthdays. Let's talk about dead people, heaven or hell. Let's talk about people who died on this day, and let's decide whether they're in heaven or hell. I have to be straightforward with you here. Not a big selection of people who died on this day. I typically like to get at least 5 for us to consider, to rise in judgment upon. But not today. I only got 2. They're 2, but they're 2 fairly big ones. And here we go. Okay, so on this day in 1978, Keith Moon, drummer of The Who, died. Keith was born in 1946. Anybody who's familiar with Keith Moon's story knows that Keith Moon is absolutely in hell. Oh my God, hell was built for people like Keith Moon. Keith Moon was a madman. And people loved him, Mooney, but a whole lot of other people didn't love him. See, that's what you see in these documentaries. You always get the people, oh, Mooney was hysterical. I remember we were at a party once and he just took a potted plant and he poured it over this woman. Mooney was great. Yeah, interview the woman. What is that? This is how the mythology of someone who seems like was a rank asshole gets turned into oh, he's just fun. Anyway, Keith Moon, he's in hell. Cool ass drummer though, man. Cool ass. Separate the art from the artist. Cool ass drummer. And I don't know that he's the greatest drummer. I'm in no position to ever be able to say who's the greatest drummer. I know that when I listen to Neil Peart and when I get into Rush, I go, wow, that seems really hard. That's the extent of my drumming knowledge. I also know that when I listen to people like Jimmy Chamberlain, I hear, wow. I go, that is something different. Also a guy like Kenny Aronoff, who I really love. But that's about the extent of my drumming knowledge. I know that Keith Moon sounds cool. I know that that bang, that gung, 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 the chaos. But let's not kid ourselves. Keith Moon is in hell. All right. Also, dead on this day. Another rock star, another singer-songwriter. Dead on this day in 2003. Someone who I personally revere as a fantastic lyricist. Interesting songwriter. Ladies and gentlemen, it was on this day that Warren Zevon passed away. Werewolves of London. Now, that's a novelty hit. Remember, we were talking a couple of days ago about the difference between songs that are legitimate hits and novelty hits. Werewolves of London was a novelty hit. First of all, as far as novelty hits go, that's a great song. That is a great song. That driving piano is fantastic. That's a good song. And the lyrics are funny. And because the lyrics are funny and sort of interesting, it became, a novelty hit. Hey, we play it every Halloween now. Werewolves of London. All right. So whatever. I'm sure that, Warren Zevon had no problem cashing those checks. He had a bunch of other cool stuff. Lawyers, Guns, and Money. That's a badass song. That could have been, anyway. Funny story about Warren Zevon. Okay. So my buddy Doc used to tell a good Warren Zevon story. My buddy Doc was a sound guy. And he used to do sound for all the big acts as they came through town. And he was working with Warren Zevon, and Warren Zevon was sound checking, and Doc was at the soundboard, and the arena doors in the back open up, and some guy starts walking up, and he's like in a suit, and they're sound checking, and Warren Zevon stops the sound check and looks out into the crowd and sees this one guy and goes, "What's this about? Well, who are you?" And the guy goes, "Are you Warren Zevon?" And then he holds up like an envelope, like he was a process server. And Warren Zevon said, "No," and ran and disappeared. He ran out the side. He was being served with papers for something, and he refused to accept it. So in the middle of sound check, Warren Zevon just ran out the side. Now the show was at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. Nobody had seen Warren Zevon all day long. They didn't know if the show was going on. They were afraid, what is this something serious? What is this about? And then like 5 minutes before showtime, Warren Zevon walks out on stage, does the show like nothing ever happened. Warren Zevon's in heaven. That's funny. That's a guy. I mean, I just picture him up there. The guy's going, "You Warren Zevon?" And Warren Zevon going, "No." And just runs. All right, that's going to do it. Those are the people who have died. We sent Keith Moon, rightfully, I believe, to hell. And Warren Zevon, because he was a funny dude, we send him to heaven. All right, that's going to do it for the overview, the 30,000-foot look at what this day has represented in the past. Now we're going to move on to the topics of the day. Okay, we're going to go through all the things that are trending, the headlines, everything people are buzzing about. So if you're ready, let's go. The dollar. The dollar is trending. Why is it? Do you guys? Okay, so you don't come here for financial advice. This is not the thing. I don't understand world markets. I don't understand. I know some of you do. Some of you have watched Jim Cramer a time or two, and so you're going to just stop it. No, there are no. Nobody can explain it to me in the chat room. I love you guys, but unless you're like. So anyway, I don't know what the dollar means, but apparently the dollar's doing good. And apparently when the dollar does good, that's bad. I don't know. I'm hearing people say, "Oh, no, that's bad." I don't understand how that could be. How can the dollar? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just going to read it to you. We're going to read the first paragraph and we'll go from there. You'll get an idea of why this story is trending. The dollar gained on Thursday after earlier pushing the yen to a 10-month low. No idea what any of that means. And kept the euro and sterling pinned near the weakest levels in about 3 months as investors place their bets on still resilient U.S. economy amid the recent spate of stronger than expected data. I don't know what any of that stuff means. If you do, you now know. Okay, we're moving on. Boring. We got Madonna faking an injury we got to talk about coming up. So trust me, there's stuff I want to get to. Texas Power. This is not something I want to get to. Son of a bit. So we do the show here from North Texas. And as we all know, it's been a little warm. It's been a little warm this summer. It's been horrible. Let's see what it is right now as we do this show from Highland Park, Texas. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I need to show you guys this. Yeah, it's 102. It's 102. What's it going to be? Oh, my God. I got to go stand at 5:30. At 5:30 in the peak of the hot Texas sun. It's not setting yet. At 5:30, it's just going to be like, we're at full strength. At 5:30, I got to be up in Prosper, standing on a sideline. Do I even have sunscreen? I need sunscreen. Oh, my God. This is like my son's playing football today. High school football here in Texas. I got to go up there Thursday night. Dusk, and they're not, game will be over by the time they need lights. Freshman football, first step. It has been so hot the last couple of games. Incredible hot. I mean, so like the first one I went to here in Highland Park, it was 106 degrees. It's like, eh. And then the next week, we were out there in Wiley and it was like 104 degrees. And that was at night. It was dark. That was under the lights. Last week, and we were out to Bedford or Euless or wherever that was. I don't know, somewhere way out there. And it was like 104 degrees. Today, let's see, what do they say it's going to be? Oh, cool. Oh, very cool. At 5 o'clock today here in North Texas, they're saying it's going to be 106 degrees. So it's going to be fun. All right. So we've been going through this for what feels like 100 days. Maybe it's been more. We've been over 100. I think there's only been one day where we weren't above 100, right? Wasn't there like one day where it was like 99.9 degrees and never quite triple digits? But we've been over 100 degrees every single day since, I don't know, Easter. I mean, it's just shit. And I've been singing the praises of ERCOT, the much maligned ERCOT. ERCOT is the Texas power grid. I've been saying, ERCOT, good job, man. You got us through this, because me, being a big dumb mope, I just assume it's almost over, right? That's got to be almost over. I mean, it's going for 100. Good job, ERCOT. You got us through it. We're in the home stretch. There is nothing that says we're in the home stretch, because it's going to be 106 degrees today. Oh, I just want it to stop. Okay, so here's what ERCOT's saying. I was giving them credit. I'm like, you made it. No, ERCOT. By the way, here's the other thing I want to mention. Judging by the forecast, and we're gonna look at the forecast. We're gonna look at the extended forecast. I have never in my life been so obsessed with the extended forecast as I have been this summer. There's not been a time this entire summer where I couldn't tell you what the 10-day was. Oh my God, 10 days, it's going to be 105 for the next 10 days. Just, it doesn't look, there's no relief in sight. However, this coming week could be incredible. Oh my God, I just felt it move. I am looking at Tuesday. Of next week. Oh God, that is the sexiest number I've ever seen. All right, so it's going to be 106 today as a high. It's going to be 106 tomorrow as a high. It's going to be 97 Saturday. Good. That's almost manageable. 95 on Sunday. 93 on Monday. 93 of a high on Monday seems really nice. But ladies and gentlemen, can I introduce you to the sexy ways of Tuesday next week? The high on Tuesday of next week is expected to be 77 degrees. 77 degrees. They say it's going to be 77 degrees as a high on Tuesday with a low of 69, and then on Wednesday 80. So here's my point, ERCOT. ERCOT's done such a great job through this incredible extended heat wave we've been sitting through here in Texas. And now we appear to be in the final 2 days. Today it's going to be 106. Tomorrow it's going to be 106. But then we're going to see, according to the weather, a slow decline in the temperatures leading to 77 degrees for a high on Tuesday. And rain. There's gorgeous rain clouds, too, in the forecast. That's why it's going to be 77. It's going to rain. It's going to thunder. It's going to lightning. We're going to dance. The crops will grow. Or I guess it's too late for that, right? So that's very exciting. So we've made it, right? We got today and tomorrow. Basically, that's the last of it. No, ERCOT's not going to run through the wall. ERCOT is now sending out a warning. So I don't know if you got a text last night. I didn't get a text, but a couple of friends did get texts because I saw them tweeting about it. ERCOT is now asking us, hey, man, we're not going to make it, man. And I'm like, it's 2 days. It's 2 more days of 105 plus. What do you mean you're not going to make it? Texas Power Grid enters emergency mode Wednesday evening in an attempt to avoid blackouts. ERCOT has called on generators to push all available electricity to the grid as rising demand threatens to surpass the state's power supply levels. If it fails, rolling blackouts are likely to begin immediately. The state's power grid operator triggered its emergency operations on Wednesday evening, allowing it to call on all available power generation to stay ahead of demand and bringing it closer than it's been all summer to a worst-case scenario. All right, ERCOT, you can't tell me this ain't by design. You can't tell me that you're going to make it the entire summer, and then you're going to put the screws to us in the final 2 days? Who's cashing checks on that? Where's the money involved? If there's a way to make money off doing that, they're doing it. God, can we just get through? And you know what? Here's what I want. Can we get to Tuesday? You want to cut the power? You want to cut the power on Tuesday? It's going to be 77 degrees. We can all open our windows. Get some nice rain breeze going through here. In other weather news, also trending, we got another hurricane, Hurricane Lee. That seems like a dumb name for a hurricane. Hurricane Lee. It's a Category 5, people. Oh my God! If this makes landfall, here's the thing: it ain't gonna make landfall. At least not in America. It's gonna probably mollywop the Caribbean. There'll be some countries there that are gonna be, needing some help. But now it looks like Hurricane Lee. It looks like it's gonna curve off the eastern coast of Florida. Now, if it continues, like if it goes straight up, we could have like a Hurricane Sandy situation. But it won't. It'll just be rain and stuff. It'll be fine. Anyway, they're trying to scare us again with Hurricane Lee. A week ago at this time, they were making us all freak out about the Florida hurricane. Do you even remember what that one was named? I don't. Irma? No, Irma's a real one. I don't know. I don't even remember the one they ginned us all up about last week. And then do you remember the super cyclone in California 2 weeks before that? Yeah, that did nothing. So go ahead. Hurricane Lee. That's the one it's a Category 5. It's in the middle of nowhere. And it's a Category 5. Hot water in the Caribbean. Oh, shut up with your hot water in the Caribbean. Hunter Biden, the ne'er-do-well son of our current president, Hunter Biden, is in the news again. Why? Well, it looks like they're going to bring an indictment against him. Federal prosecutors, let's see, here's what it says. Federal prosecutors plan to indict Hunter Biden by the end of the month. Bombshell court filing says president's son likely faces gun charges that could land him in prison for up to 10 years. So here's the story here. By the way, let's establish Hunter Biden's a loser. Hunter Biden is a freaking privilege. He had every advantage known to man, and he turns out to be a skeevy, crackhead, underachieving. Oh, but he lost his brother. He lost his brother when he was like in his 40s or whatever, 30, whatever. He was a grown man when he lost his mother. Yes. Okay, so that's a tragedy. But, we all go through tragedies. He had every opportunity to overcome those tragedies. Hell, I know people who have overcome greater tragedies than the loss of a mother at an early age, and they've gone on to do great things without the benefit of having their father be one of the most powerful senators in the country. So, so he's a D-bag. So there's no tears being, but here's what I sort of push back on this Hunter Biden thing with. And I don't care if they got something on him, go. I'm not one of these people who thinks the Department of Justice is all complete. By the way, all these hypocrites going, yeah, now the Department of Justice is doing good stuff. What are you talking about? Because it's something that you approve of, now all of a sudden you can trust the Department of Justice. Either you have faith in our institutions or you don't. You wishy-washy, unserious dupe. So here's the thing if there's charges, let's go. Let's see what they got. First of all, I think they got him dead to rights on this gun charge. Now, the gun charge was absolutely part of a plea bargain. But then a whole bunch of people were like, he's the president's son, he's getting special treatment. I don't know that to be true. I don't know. Do people often get that kind? It's a paperwork charge. It's not a gun charge. He wasn't in a mall with an illegal gun on his waistband. It was a stupid paperwork issue. He lied. He went to acquire a gun, as we're all apparently encouraged to do in this country. He went to acquire a gun, and it said, are you currently on drugs? And he put no. And of course he was a crackhead. So yeah, dumbass, he lied on official paperwork. That's the gun charge. Brings 10 years in prison. I don't know. Is that the kind of charge that typically gets plea bargained away? I don't know. I don't care. Here's the point. Seems like a dirtbag. If this is a legit charge and they're going to prosecute it, then he should have to face whatever crime or whatever penalty there is for that. Now, do I think it's politically motivated? Absolutely. Without a doubt. I mean, if this guy's last name was, Johansson and, his dad ran 2 restaurants, I don't know. I don't know if it would be. It really does seem like they've come after the son of the president to embarrass the president. But you know what? This president has a son. that has made him vulnerable. This kid's an idiot. This kid is an absolute idiot. And the other thing, I saw maybe this. See, this is the problem with the right and the left, and this is where we in the middle are like, oh God, you guys, you people are idiots. Like I saw one thing going around from the right that said about this story and had a picture of Hunter Biden and all this stuff, and said basically it was saying that like Trump's kids aren't bad like this, you know, and I'm like. He's sitting in the middle. I'm going, Trump's kids can't operate a charity in New York or Florida. What do you mean? They stole money from a kid's cancer. What? You just selectively, they're all silver spoon dirt bags. This is what you people don't get. So stop with the comparisons. I hope Hunter Biden, God, I'm so tired of hearing his name, right? It's like there have been a lot of these on both sides, Democrat and Republican. There have been a lot of these so-called witch hunts that were political witch hunts designed to embarrass people for coming elections and all that. But this one's got teeth. I mean, you can't deny this one. Apparently they had a special counsel that was assigned to it. This Weiss guy or something like that. I can't think of his name. He looked into it and they found charges. So you know what? Lump it. But here's the other thing, you know, I've said this myself. We've talked about it. Like, is there anything that would get me to turn on my son? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's a lot of things that I could be upset with my son about, but there is nothing that my son could ever do that I would absolutely turn my back on him. I couldn't. That's just not in my DNA. So I see a lot of people criticizing Biden, you know, about his love for his son. And I'm like, man, that's some rough shit. He loves his kid. His kid's a dirtbag. We all know the kid's a dirtbag. He's a sexual deviant. He's a crackhead. He was handed the world and he squandered it because he wanted to, you know, have gross sex with prostitutes and play with guns and drugs. He's a weirdo. But he loves him. He's his dad. He loves him. I don't know. We'll see. All right, here's another provocative subject here for those of us in the middle. Masks. Freaking masks are making a comeback. Hey. Here's something that I realized. There is a class of people out there. Masks. No, not going to go in there. I'm not going to give any opinion on masks. I wore masks very late into the whole thing. I mean, I don't think I've worn a mask in well over a year and a half, but you know, excuse me. Masks are back. There are schools across America that are asking their kids, visitors to the schools and teachers to all wear masks because, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, I was joking about it. I said, there's a new COVID variant that's dropping. Well, guess what? It's Jill Biden's got it. I mean, celebrities are getting COVID now. So kids are being asked to wear masks again. Schools across America. Okay, here's some bullshit. Here's this. You know, I get mad at poor journalism. So here's the headline, right? This is the headline because here's what they know. They know people read headlines and then are too intellectually lazy to actually read the story. So a lot of you out there are just informed through headlines. And, you know, if you listen to this show, you're basically informed through headlines. So maybe I should be a little hard on that. But here's the headline. Schools across America bring back COVID masks. That's the headline. Schools across America. It's two schools. It's two schools that they cite here. One school in Alabama and one school in Maryland. Schools across America. Schools across America. So now somebody's going to read that and then they're going to start on Facebook with every school in America now has to have masks. Biden's gone too far. Let's burn down the White House. That's what you get. That's the ginning up process. They know nobody's going to read the actual article and see that it's an Alabama high school and a Maryland middle school. All they're going to know is schools across America. Whatever. Some of these schools are like, COVID's particularly bad in the area. Kids wear masks. I don't care. I'm not a kid. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm done wearing the masks. I've gotten the boosters. I've gotten the vaccine. I've done absolutely everything. And quite frankly, bring it on. You know, just bring it on. I've had COVID twice. Despite all of that, I had COVID when I got my booster because they gave it to me intentionally and I got really sick. And then like a year and a half later, I caught it again. And that one was real easy, though. I'll give you that. My run with organic COVID, not the kind that was shot into my arm, which has always been something I never understood about vaccines. You mean so I don't get the disease? You're going to give me the disease? But whatever. I'm not smart enough to be able to figure that out. I trust that others are. So when I actually got COVID organically, just because, I don't know, somebody coughed on me or something, it was fine. It was like not bad at all. It was just like, again, when I got the booster shot, I got sicker than I have been in probably 30 years. I was miserable for about 18 hours and then it went away and I was fine. But when I actually got the COVID, and it's got to be because I have some resistance built up, right, in some way. So when I finally got the COVID, it was like, this sucks. Oh, man, I don't feel good. And I had 101 temperature for about 12 hours and, then a cough and, all of that and a little lung issue there where I was coughing a lot. But it was nothing. It was nothing. So I say bring it on, man. I'm not wearing masks. What I know about this new variant is it's not as strong. It's just the flu. This is what we're going to have. This is now going to be like the flu. There's going to be a new COVID that's going to pop up every year. We're going to have COVID 24, COVID 25. They're going to pop up every year. And we're just going to have to deal with it. Just like we do with the flu. Do you get flu shots every year? I don't. I mean, I get a flu shot maybe once every 5 years if it's convenient and it happens to be going down where I am. Yeah, I'll take one, maybe, like that, but I don't get the flu every year. And I know millions of people do. So I feel that we have come through the COVID thing. I am not afraid of the big bad COVID monster anymore. I know a lot of people are. That's what I wanted to mention. I still see people not like right now, like if you see someone with a mask on, you're like, well, okay, maybe I can understand that because it is in the news that people, but like 3 weeks ago, I was still seeing people with masks. I go to my son's football game every week, and there are people in the stands in Texas wearing masks. Now, granted, I don't know these people, and some of them might be sick themselves and vulnerable. So whatever, God bless. You do what you got to do. But players, like my son says there's kids in his school that still wear masks. I have been driving in the car and seen Uber drivers who are alone with nobody in the car driving with their mask. That's what I never understood. I never understood the people who drove alone in their car wearing their mask. Fuck. What's wrong with you? You're just breathing yourself. There's nobody in the car with you. What is that? So I think that there is this class of people who sort of enjoy the mask. I got to tell you, there were times when I enjoyed the mask. Like walking into a place, my beard was awful. I didn't feel like I wanted to shave the neck beard down or anything like that. Just pop that mask on, man, and just go out everywhere. There were some benefits to the mask. But man, there are mask fetishists out there. You still see them. All right. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Oh, new poll out. This is interesting. I'm watching the Republican lineup for the GOP. Don't want to vote for Biden, won't vote for Trump. That's where I am, right? So I'm like right there. Don't want to. God, that makes me want to vomit. Anyway, so I'm looking at the Republican field. I'm looking at people that might be interesting. And I've singled out Nikki Haley. After the first debate, Nikki Haley won that first debate. I'm sorry. I know the reaction in the moments with the stacked vote results because Vivek Ramaswamy had a team of 10,000 teenagers who were just pounding that Drudge Report poll to make sure that he won, even though it's obvious. And after the dust settled that he did not do well. Nikki Haley won that debate. Nikki Haley was the only one who seemed believable and reasonable. But the problem is that I don't know that everyone in America is looking for reasonable, right? Anyway, Nikki Haley has gotten a boost. Biden trails Haley in a one-on-one match. Nikki Haley is the only GOP candidate who in this recent poll defeats Biden one-on-one. And I can totally see it. That's if the Republican look, the poll, Biden, I don't want Biden again. So it can't be Biden and Trump because Trump can't win a popular vote in this country. And they now know how to win the Electoral College. They were lazy with Hillary. They're never going to let that happen again. So look, he can't win a popular vote. And really, he can't win on the Electoral College without some kind of crazy hiccup happening. So you're going to get Biden again. So can we please get somebody else that might be able to win? And it looks like that's Nikki Haley. Let's just wipe the slate clean of these retreads. Can we please? Anyway, here's the results. Biden trails Haley. Let's see here. A new poll is providing bad news for the White House and President Biden, who scores just 39% approval, a little more than a year before Election Day. 61% disapprove of Biden's job performance in the polls. Do they disapprove of his job performance? Do we have the ability to truly judge what his... I don't know what the president does, and neither do you. We just criticize Biden. People just don't like Biden. You just like, let me look at what the criticisms are. None of the criticisms are, like, go on Twitter. Nobody's saying, I can't believe that he's pushing the UN ambassador to put sanctions on Central Africa. Nobody's complaining about that stuff. It's all about, he's old. He's pooping his pants. See, it's all like really serious stuff. And it's all the serious stuff that I don't appreciate either. I'm like, oh, God. Seriously, this is our president. So that's what we criticize him for. So we need to get Nikki Haley. I'm telling you. I would vote for Nikki Haley. If it comes down to Biden and Nikki Haley, I'm voting for Nikki Haley. She's a woman. Okay, very good. And wouldn't that be funny? Don't you want to see like the hardcore liberals just freak out when the first female president is a Republican? I do. That's one that I want, because they'd always assumed. They know the liberals would always say, we will be the one that finally anoints a woman, and she may in fact be a woman of color. Well, a woman of color to be sure, but she's a Republican and a conservative. Nikki Haley is, anyway, we don't move on from that. But anyway, she's winning. She's won. She's the one of the Republicans who currently beats Biden in a head-to-head national poll. And I totally see it. Soccer moms will vote for her. Soccer moms who can be consistently counted upon to vote for the Democrat will look at Nikki Haley and go, I don't really care about either party. They will vote for her. Why? Because soccer moms are a monolith? Well, yeah, that's why we call them soccer moms. I'm not the first person to suggest that they are of one mind when they vote. That's why we look at these things in this way. But yeah, I believe, here's what I think. I think Hillary came off as a bitch. I think there's a lot of women who saw Hillary who comes off as a cold bitch. I don't think Nikki Haley does. I think Nikki Haley comes off as someone who can be a bitch, but also seems like the girl you might have been friends with in college. I think that's how Hillary doesn't. Hillary was cold. So I'm telling you, man, there are some Democrat women soccer moms who will come out and vote. And so many Democrats will just vote for her anyway. She took down the Confederate flag in South Carolina. She wasn't even being pressured to. It was just something that she did. That's got to count for something with the libs, right? Southern governor who was like, yeah, I don't like this, especially since, I'm not white myself. Nikki Haley. One to watch. That's all I'm saying. She's one to watch. Let's drill, baby, drill. Yeah, okay. So that's the old clarion call of the Palin-esque crowd. Drill, baby, drill. MSN here. Here's a story. I was talking about this yesterday, right? I was talking about how we have gotta at some point in the next, and I don't want to hear about in the next 50 years. No, I want to hear about the next 5 years. I want to hear about within the next 5 years, how we can get off the Saudi oil teat. How can we do it? Well, obviously what that will mean is that a whole lot of billionaires, whole lot of Texas billionaires, they're going to probably see their wealth drop. And I guess we can't do that. So we're going to keep paying $6 a gallon, or at least by the time 2 years, 5 years from now, that's where it's going to be. And here's what Biden's doing. This is Biden to block oil drilling in, quote, irreplaceable Alaskan wildlands. Oh, God, it's beautiful. You ever been? No, nobody's ever been. It's beautiful, though. How do you know? Seen pictures. Oh, God. So Trump, one of the things that I liked that Trump did, and look, you can serve two masters, right? So when Trump basically said, yeah, let's drill all over Alaska, of course he was, making money for his rich Wall Street friends who have oil rights and all the, of course, it was money. The rich got richer. Yay, we get to drill now. All right, so there's that. But also serving two masters is good for us. That is actually good for the rank and file. Okay, look, the rich guys are getting rich on all kinds of things. And most of the time, the stuff they get rich on isn't good for us. But this particular case, if they're going to get rich off stuff, let's let them get rich off yanking all that oil out of Alaska, places nobody is ever going to go. Do you know how big Alaska is? Do you know how small these little areas are? There is no way that this is going to it will irrevocably change the landscape of Alaska. Why do we care about this now? I don't understand it. Why can't we give Americans $2 gas consistently? President Biden moved Wednesday to protect more than 10 million acres of Alaska's North Slope from development, barring oil drilling across giant swaths and canceling leases in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. These were issued under President Trump. The conservation push covers nearly half of the National Petroleum Reserve, the nation's largest expanse of public land, which hosts a... We are the public. We are the public, and we're tired of paying ridiculous gas prices. Why? Because we've made some crazy deal with the people of Saudi Arabia that we can take their oil, and they get to set the barrel prices, and we've got our own oil. All right. So Biden sucks. He doesn't. Look, I don't across the board hate Biden. He seems like a nice man. I say this all the time. I don't buy the whole he's a child molester. Stop it. You're a moron. Whatever, he likes little kids. You ever seen those things of Biden where they're like, look at him, he's rubbing that little girl's shoulders, he's obviously wanting to have sex. And I see those things and I'm like, first of all, isn't that his granddaughter? And yeah, it's even sicker. I'm like, no, you're pretty sick for going there. He's a grandpa, he's an old man. Well, look at him, stop it, you're so disingenuous. But this kind of shit bugs me. This kind of shit from Biden bugs me. You know why? Because Biden is essentially a centrist. He's been a moderate almost his entire career until he hooked up with Obama. And then he heard the cash registers ringing from the extreme left. And all of a sudden now Biden is so afraid to upset the furthest reaches of the left, especially when it comes to things like drilling and all that shit, because these people don't care. The people that he is kowtowing to with this, I'm getting rid of Trump's plan to drill in Alaska. The people he are kowtowing to are a bunch of rich people who don't worry about the price of gas, who just want the idea that there are free running sea otters in Alaska. That's some bullshit, man. Meanwhile, the rest of us, we're paying $5 a gallon. Stop it. It's insane. Here's something that's not insane. California's about to legalize shrooms. Yeah. Oh, yeah. California. The California Assembly yesterday passed a bill that would make it the third state to decriminalize psychedelic drugs for personal use. The measure cleared the lower house of the Democratic-controlled state legislature Wednesday with a final tally showing 44 members voting yes, 14 opposed, and 22 not voting. A broader version of the bill previously passed the state Senate. That chamber is expected to pass this final version by next week, sending the bill to Governor Newsom's desk. If signed by Newsom, a Democrat, Californians 21 and older would be allowed to ingest. So you can be high on shrooms. They'd be allowed to ingest, possess, cultivate. So you can ingest it, or you can possess it. It can be in your pocket or in your belly, and you're legal. You can cultivate it, which means you can grow it. That means you can have a little, shroom garden in your backyard if you want. And you can transport small amounts. Going to a concert, that would fall into possess, right? Transport small amounts. I don't know what that means. All right. Distribution, however, or sharing is illegal. So if you've got your own little mushroom plant thing in your house, you're the only one that can do it. And I'm sure that's enforceable. Yeah, so there you have it. What are my thoughts on psychedelics and shrooms? I'm fine with them. You should make it legal. I fall not entirely in line with my Radio Misfits partner, James. James is he describes himself as a libertarian, but there's no such thing as a libertarian. A libertarian is just a far-right conservative who has liberal friends. That's all. That's it. He still wants to be able to play in bands with guys who are way more liberal, so he describes himself. Anyway, I love James. See, I don't judge people based on their politics. But I kind of feel the way he does. He's very much all drugs should be legal. Personal right. What are we, a nanny state? I agree with that. What, mommy's telling me that I can't take this? I'm a human being. If I want to take this and feel this way because, I've got 10 hours to kill, why not? So I kind of agree with that. I don't believe all drugs, though. I do think that there are some drugs that should not be legal just simply because of like opioids. I think there are some things that are so addictive that the problem of it basically destroying society is very real. And we've seen that with the opioid crisis. We've seen that in large swaths of this country where there are towns all over that are just dead. You ever go on Google Maps? I've done this before. Go into Appalachia on Google Maps. Like, get on Google Maps, go down into a town in Appalachia. Just find like a main street and just drive down that. You will find methadone clinics. You will find lines of people out in front of clinics. It is just, and that's the opioid crisis. So, whereas I don't agree with James that all drugs should be just legalized and free, I think that there is some responsibility on a greater society to say, no, you can't do that. With that said, shrooms and psychedelics should be totally legal. They should absolutely be legal. I am a great believer in them. I'm not a big user of them. I think I've only done shrooms like twice, 2 or 3 times maybe, and not in 20 plus years. But I can tell you that as I get older, if I got to it, like right now, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I'm in a bad headspace, and I suffer from depression and all this kind of stuff. But all the research that I've done on depression, it says that, psychedelics are an incredible form of therapy for people who suffer from everything from PTSD to psychedelics. And these are all things that have never been allowed to be studied because it's illegal, because of the hippies, because they don't like Vietnam. So all of these drugs were turned into something. We saw movies like in 5th grade, like in the 70s and stuff. And they were like, don't do drug movies. And they were just like the crazy, this person took mushrooms. Now look at him. He's trying to fly off this building. And then, I've done mushrooms and I'm like, no, no, I'd be afraid to climb stairs. When I'm on mushrooms, I ain't going to jump off a building. I'm like extra careful. I remember being on mushrooms and sitting on a couch and not moving for like 10 hours. Because just moving was going to be way too much. There were going to be obstacles. There were going to be things. So I just sat there. And listened to the kids play down the block. They were playing. It was a day I had the window, the sliding glass door open. Actually, here's the funny story. So the plan was we were just going to watch a Bears game, me and a couple of friends. And one of the friends goes, I brought mushrooms. And so we're like, whatever. We don't have anything to do. Nobody had to work until, Monday morning. So we're like, okay, we'll watch football all day. So we took the mushrooms and then we were watching the football game and we had to turn the football game off. We all agreed. We're like, turn the game off. It was just too violent. It was just like too much going on. And we all had decided probably about 2 minutes into the first quarter that we all just wanted to sit on the couch and just listen. And I ask you, why can't that be legal? What is the problem with that? Now, if that person goes and gets in a car and kills people, well, yeah, because he's driving under the influence. But beer isn't illegal, and people can do the same thing with beer. World is dangerous. People need to make responsible choices, and when they don't, we have laws that will punish them for it. There's no reason. So good for you, California. I want to be able to just go by. Again, though, I don't know if I'm doing it, though, because I definitely try it. Because they're gonna have new stuff. You know what I mean? It's gonna be like new, like weed is all new now. Like there is no. If you were like an old hippie, if you were in a coma, if you if you fell off a riser at Woodstock, and were in a coma for like 50 years, and you got up now, and you're like, okay, and it's time for you. Somebody's like, hey, you want to get high? And then they handed you a vape or a dab. You wouldn't know. You're like, wait, what? Where's the leafy green buds? And people be like, yeah, we don't need that anymore. We've condensed what it is that gets us high, and now you ingest it this way. So that's all changed. So I wonder what shrooms are going to be like. Shrooms will probably be like gummy bears. Because mushrooms taste terrible. That's the problem, Anytime you do the mushrooms, you're like, oh, these are like gross. They grow on cow poop. Ugh. So you got to make them flavorful. You could see like a nice cherry gummy bear with the psychedelic extract found in shrooms or peyote. Here's another fun story. This was a great story that happened over the weekend. So Duke went into Clemson and basically just kicked Dabo Swinney in the nuts, which I really appreciate because I hate Dabo Swinney, the head coach of Clemson. So it was Duke, and Duke is not known as a power, but down in that part of the country, these two teams don't like each other. So Duke's quarterback. This was a nighttime game. It was Labor Day night, right? It was Monday night, Labor Day weekend. Duke's quarterback had a homework assignment that he wasn't going to turn in on time. And the reason he couldn't turn it in on time was because, as his friend posted on Twitter, he was busy becoming a legend because this quarterback led Duke over the highly touted Clemson, the Dabo Swinney Clemson. Come on, this is a good team. This Duke kid led his team on national TV on Labor Day over Clemson. Probably the biggest victory in the history of the Duke University football team. Duke University, of course, most commonly known as a basketball school. Let me see if I can find these. Here we go. Okay. So the Duke University quarterback, I'll find his name for you. Whatever. His name doesn't matter. This is what he did after the game. After the game, he was concerned that he wasn't going to have his homework done on time. But again, as we say, he had just become legend in Duke athletics. So here, this is a little video that he made immediately following the game. Let's go. Play.
Professor Taylor, if you're seeing this, please let me turn in my homework late because it's due tonight, I think at 12, so it may already be 12.
What? Is that buffering or is that the whole thing? Okay, so you get it. So he sent this video.
Professor Taylor, if you're seeing this, please let me turn in my homework late because it's due tonight, I think at 12, so it may already be 12.
Okay, so the first thing that he thinks to do is like, okay, this is great. I'm going to be leading off ESPN Sports Center, and suddenly I'm a quarterback that people are. Well, he had a great game. But his first thought as a quarterback is, oh my God, I don't have my homework done. I hope. So I'm having problems with this. All right, so he asked his quarterback, or he asked his professor, Professor Taylor, to extend him. And here, so this is let's watch this one now. And Professor Taylor responded. Remember, this kid just handed Duke their biggest victory in athletic history, begged his professor, please forgive me, allow me a little grace time to finish my homework. It's not going to be done on time, and this happened.
Turning my homework late because it's due tonight, I think at 12, so it may already be 12. Professor Taylor, if you're seeing this, please let me turn in my homework late because it's due tonight, I think at 12, so it may already be 12.
Hey Riley, great game last night, man. It was so exciting. Congratulations to you and all your teammates. But Wesley Williams and the other linemen who were in the class, they said they prepared ahead and did it ahead of time, so why didn't the quarterback? So no way, man. No extension.
All right, no idea why the sound on that was so bad, but okay, so there you have it. So the quarterback, has this great game, and he immediately sends a video to his professor saying, look, please, can you give me an extension on my homework? I was a little bit busy tonight, feeling himself a little bit. And the professor says, no. There's other guys on the team, and they also had that homework assignment, and they were able to get – the professor said no. And now it's kind of turned into a thing because the professor was trying to make it seem cute. The professor was, hold on, this is way too loud. So, but the professor's getting, threats, and people are saying, you should have given him an extension because, and I don't know what I think I kind of like the professor's response. However, I honestly think that if I was the professor, I probably would have gone. Because I'd have watched the game. I don't know if the professor watched the game, but I watched some of the game, and it was pretty exciting, especially if you were part of Duke Nation. It was really exciting. So if I'm watching the game, I'm probably the professor. I'm like, you give him a break, right? You go, all right, fine, whatever. And then maybe you give everybody an extension. You know what I mean? Why not? It's a big celebratory thing. This kid did something that nobody expected a Duke team to be able to do. Give him a break, right? Just give him a break. You don't, when you're teaching them a lesson, well, that's what college is for, to teach them. Nah, you're just using your power because you're in a position to have power. And you know that it's very rare in life that you have power, although you're a professor. So I'm sure you wield your power against kids all the time. Yeah, that's all that is. Local news is trending. Local news is trending because there's a giant philanthropy move to fund $500 million to develop new profit and nonprofit news organizations at the local level. This is something that I'm a big supporter of. The idea of local news. Local news went away. Local news at the 10 o'clock local news used to be where you got all of your news. And then people started unplugging. They started going with smart TVs. They started going with other ways. And guess what was one of the first things people lost? Access to local news. Because local news, typically, they have agreements with cable companies and satellites and all that kind of stuff. So when you get your smart TV, yeah, you get access to Sure, you get access to your Netflix and your Hulus and your HBO Maxes and all that kind of stuff. But here's what you don't get. You don't get your local 10 o'clock news. You don't. I mean, you can. There are ways to do it if you really want it, but it is a process and it hasn't been streamlined yet. So over the course of the past few years, local news has, my God, man, do you know that in like 1994, the sports guy that you were watching, Dale Hansen, right? In 1994, Dale Hansen was probably making $2-3 million a year. Do you know what the equivalent of that guy in 2023 doing sports? He's probably making 150 grand. There is no money and there is no audience. Nobody is watching local news anymore. So what happens here? Nobody knows anything about what's happening across the street. Nobody gives a shit. We get our news at the national level, and all we're concerned about now is what's going on in Washington. People, I say this all the time. Do you know how absurd it is that someone in Nebraska is familiar with the junior congresswoman from the Bronx? Someone in Nebraska should not know who Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is, but you're ginned up at the national level. So what's happening is you're not paying attention to your local politics. You don't know anything about what's happening anymore. So this has caused us all to become stupid and puppets to people at the political levels with big agendas. We've all been manipulated. We all watch Fox News. And the most important thing to us is Hunter Biden. Not that your local school board is falling apart, because you don't give a shit about that. Because Hunter Biden on Fox News. That's what we've become. And it's really bad. It is really bad. So there is this major philanthropic movement here. $500 million has been put in the coffers, and they're going to be doling out money to, emerging and new forms of local news, digital local news. Many major philanthropic groups have increasingly focused their attention in recent years on helping struggling local newsrooms. Now they are joining forces. On Thursday, more than 20 nonprofit organizations will announce plans to invest a total of $500 million over the next 5 years into local media. The initiative, called Press Forward, is spearheaded by the MacArthur Foundation and supported by organizations including the Knight Foundation, the Ford Foundation, and the Carnegie Corporation. Press Forward will use $500 million to fund grants for existing local for-profit and nonprofit newsrooms. It will help build shared tools, provide resources to diverse outlets in those in historically underserved areas, and invest in nonpartisan public policy development that advances access to news and information. It is so important that we reconnect with the news and events of our own community. I keep saying this. Stop being so concerned with K Street and pay attention to Main Street. Oh, I pay attention to my town. No, you don't. I don't even know who the mayor of Dallas is. Who's the mayor of Dallas? I don't know. But I can tell you what state Josh Hawley represents. Why? I don't know who the mayor of the town. It's a real problem. We used to be more engaged and more concerned about what was happening in our own backyard back in the 70s and the 80s when everybody watched the local news at 10 o'clock. Now everybody watches Tucker at 8 and hear what spoon-fed bullshit, or Rachel Maddow, spoon-fed bullshit at the national level. Again, I find it hysterical that there are people in the Pacific Northwest who are obsessed with a congresswoman from New York who doesn't affect you at all. She chairs no committees. Her party isn't even in power, and yet you're still upset. Who's your congressman? Ask people, people even know who their congressperson is? I don't think they do. But I bet they can tell you about what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was like in college. You don't know who your own is. But you can tell me about the ex-husband of who's the other weird one from Minnesota with the shaved head. You can tell me all about that. You've never been within 2,000 miles of Minnesota, but you know all about her first marriage. That's fucking weird, people. That's weird. It's a complete waste of time. And it's why everybody's so confused and running around and bumping into shit. Local news. It's a big deal. Local news has to come back. Corrupt nations. There's a new list out that is Russia. There you go. It's Russia. Hey, what's the most corrupt nation? Russia. Hey, how about this, though? You know what number 3 was? Mexico. Mexico was the number. You know what number 2 was? Iran. Yeah, you figure Russia, Iran, North Korea was up there. But Mexico was number 3. Like, Mexico is more corrupt than North Korea. What? That ain't good. That's too close. You can't be that corrupt and be that close. We got to fix Mexico. How do we fix Mexico? Well, first thing would be send all the Mexicans back there and let them, because they've done a great job here. You ever driven through a Mexican neighborhood? Gorgeous. Gorgeous. First generation Mexicans, they work hard. They buy homes and they care about the community. Very family oriented. There you go. Corrupt nations. Russia's number 1, Iran is number 2, and Mexico's number 3. Danny Masterson is trending. Remember Hyde from that 70s show? Back in May, he was convicted of raping 2 women like 20 years ago. Oh, God, what a nightmare, huh? Back when he was super famous, and he ain't super famous anymore. In fact, I don't know what he's done. Wasn't he on that show, The Ranch? I think he was on like some also ran. The Ranch. It's like an Ashton Kutcher show, but it wasn't big. But, people who watch it are like, you should watch The Ranch. I've had so many people say that. I guess it's got Sam Elliott. So maybe it's good. I don't know. Whatever. I've never seen it, but Hyde was on that show, and that was like the last thing he did. And then, so he gets convicted in May of raping 2 women. Not raping, not like he's in an alley and he jumps out from behind a dumpster, but like the really effed up way of raping where like they're already on a date with you, dude. They're already kind of into it. Why do you need to spike their drink so that they knock out and then you have sex with somebody who's passed out? Why do you want to have sex with somebody who's, I don't know. There's so many questions I have about this methodology, but apparently a lot of people do it. So he spiked a couple of girls' drinks 20 years ago. A third girl who brought charges of rape, she was thrown out because she was engaged to him. Like after the rape occurred, she got engaged to him. Which is like, yeah, sorry, sweetie. The other two got raped by him and then were like, I don't want to see him anymore. You got raped by him and you were like, I'd like to marry this man. So you got to go away. You're not allowed. You're not allowed in this. But he did get convicted and he's looking at 30 years. I think he's looking at 30 years in prison. And it's a very real thing. Hyde from that 70s show he's convicted of raping 2 women. He's going to jail. But for how long? Judge rejects new trial for Danny Masterson. That 70s show star faces decades in prison. That 70s show star Danny Masterson could get as much as 30 years to life in prison at his sentencing Thursday for rapes of 2 women. Wait a second. Thursday, it's 1:40, 12:40, 11:40. Did this go down in the morning? Hold on. Let's see. Or is it going to be a late afternoon sentencing? All right, hold on. Did he get sentenced? What did he get? Danny Masterson sent to be sentenced today. All right, that was 39 minutes ago, so he hasn't been sentenced yet. Okay. Let's go on. Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Charlene F. Olmedo is set to sentence the 47-year-old actor after rejecting a defense motion for a new trial. She's hearing victim impact statements before issuing her ruling on what Masterson's sentence will be. The actor, who's been in custody since May, sat in court wearing a suit. "When you raped me, you stole from me," said one woman who Masterson was convicted of raping in 2003. "That's what rape is, a theft of the spirit. You are pathetic, disturbed, and completely violent," she said. "The world is better off with you in prison." Nope. I got thoughts, but nope. Nope. Victims. Respect victims. He ain't going to do well. Hyde ain't going to do well in prison, I can tell you that. God, that must suck. You have to kill yourself. I mean, just think about, oh, God. So, like, 20 years ago, he was Hyde on that 70s show. It was a very popular show, and he was a young man in his 20s, and he could probably go out to clubs in L.A., and that's Hyde. And you'll be like, very good life, very cool-ass life, had a Malibu house. Here's the problem, though, with this whole thing. He's also a heavy-duty Scientologist, and apparently these women were hushed up by Scientology for like 20 years. Scientology is at the core of this entire case, and somehow they're not really on trial. But Masterson is. Masterson watched the women without visible reaction as they spoke. The jury could not reach a unanimous verdict on the third count. That's the girl that he was engaged to. The defense sought to have sentences for the two convictions run simultaneously and asked for a sentence of 15 years to life. His lawyer says he has lived an exemplary life, except for the rapings. He has been an extraordinary father, husband, brother, son, co-worker, and community servant. Again, aside from all the rapings. Prosecutors alleged that Masterson used his prominence in the Church of Scientology, where all three women were also members at the time, to avoid consequences for decades after the attacks. See, that's a very big thing. Like, at the heart of this whole deal, why it took 20 years to come was because these women are saying that they were silenced by Scientology. Now, I will push back because I'm a great believer in personal responsibility. Believe it or not, I am. I know what's my responsibility. Let me read that again, just one more time. The woman, prosecutors alleged that Masterson used his prominence in the Church of Scientology, where all three women were also members at the time, to avoid consequences for decades after the attacks. Okay. Scientology is creepy, and I have no doubt that, Danny Masterson, who at the time was probably a fairly big asset to them, they like to collect their celebrities, and he was on a hit TV show, so they probably went to work, whatever machine is there to help their idiot celebrities when they get in trouble, probably went into action, and these girls were members of Scientology, and Scientology, what? What are they saying? Forced them to not go to the police? See, that's a choice. They made a choice, and the choice that they made was their dedication to Scientology in that moment was greater than their desire to seek justice for the rape that occurred to them. That's a choice that they made. No, Scientology was in their head. Scientology is only in their head because they allowed Scientology to come in their head. These are choices. You join a cult, you start to get scrambled, you then do something terrible. You can't say it's because the cult. No. Although this is really sketchy. The women blamed the church for their hesitancy in going to police. They testified that when they reported him to Scientology officials, they were told, why are you reporting rape to Scientology officials? You report rape to police, not Scientology officials. So right there is another choice. I am not victim blaming. I am simply saying we need at some point to take a look at these situations and go, how could they be avoided in the future? In the future, don't join Scientology. In the future, go to the police if you're raped. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve what he's getting, because it seems like an incredibly despicable act, and I have to imagine that he probably did it a lot. You don't get caught the first time. The women blamed the church for their hesitancy in going to police about Masterson. They testified that when they reported him to Scientology officials, they were told they were not raped. They were put through ethics programs themselves and were warned against going to law enforcement to report a member of such high standing within the church. Well, there you go. They were warned not to go to law enforcement, and they went, okay, and they didn't go to law enforcement. Again, I am not saying that he shouldn't go to jail. Whatever. He's obviously a scuzzbag, and it took 20 years. We're just talking about why it took 20 years. It's not a crime. These women are the reason it took 20 years, because when they were raped, they went to a Scientology official and not the police. The church said in a statement after the verdict that the testimony and descriptions of Scientology beliefs during the trial were, quote, uniformly false. The church has no policy prohibiting or discouraging members from reporting criminal conduct of anyone, Scientologists or not, to law enforcement, the statement said. Yeah, you know what? Leah Remini says differently, and so does Katie Holmes. Katie Holmes had to leave. Katie Holmes had to go to the other side of the country because she couldn't live in Hollywood anymore because you people were so weird. Masterson did not testify, and his lawyers called no witnesses. The defense argued that the acts were consensual and attempted to discredit the women's stories by highlighting changes and inconsistencies to them over time. These women, whose testimony led to Masterson's conviction, said that in 2003 he gave them drinks and that they then became woozy or passed out before he violently raped them. Olmedo allowed prosecutors and accusers to say directly in the second trial that Masterson drugged the women, while only allowing the women to describe their conditions in the first. Yeah, the first trial was like a hung jury, and then they had a second trial and they got him. All right, so there you have it. So Hyde from That 70s Show, he's going to jail for a while. 34-year-old Marine veteran walks. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. What else do we have? Guys, I think that's it. Oh, no. That's not it. That's not it, of course. Hold on. That's not it. We got Madonna. That's right. Madonna. I wanted to talk about this. Oh, my God. Madonna is such a train wreck. Jesus God. She's aging so poorly, and I don't mean physically or aesthetically. I just mean spiritually. She's just aging like, what? Look at me. Look at my face. She's got the bad plastic surgery, and she's got the giant inner tubes in her lips, and her cheekbones are like gigantic mounds. Just like, she looks ridiculous. Jesus, Madonna, you're a beautiful woman. Just age gracefully. It can be done, but you didn't. You tried to hang on to being a 28-year-old club floozy well into your 60s, and now look at you. You're an absolute train wreck. So Madonna was in the hospital a couple of weeks back, maybe like a month or so ago. Remember that? It was serious. Remember how serious it was? Oh, it was so serious. She almost died, but we didn't hear about it until after. She was in the hospital for a week, apparently in intensive care, if you believe the gossip, which I don't. She was in the hospital supposedly for a week, and then she was home and recovering in bed, and then the story came out, Madonna in ICU. And then you read the story, and you're like, oh, she's out of ICU. She's at home. She was in ICU last week. So they're able to keep that story secret. But apparently she's back and she's practicing for her world tour. Remember Madonna? She's like, I'm going to do a world tour, which I got to be honest, I'll go see. If somebody's like, hey, I got tickets to see Madonna, I'm like, yeah, I'll go see that crazy geriatric donkey show. I wouldn't know what to expect from a Madonna show. I saw the Like a Virgin tour back in 80. God, it was only my third concert. It was incredible. It was incredible. And now I want the bookend. I want to see Trainwreck Madonna. Here, I'll show some pictures. So she's practicing for her new show. And oh. Here, look at this. Oh, she's had an injury. She's had a Madonna needs all of our attention again. Look at me. Oh, I bumped my knee on a coffee table, and now I must lay here in the studio and be tended to like Princess Diana. Look at her. She's okay. So apparently, the internet world is abuzz because they took a whole bunch of pictures of her rehearsing for her new concert, and apparently she's wearing a knee brace, and people are really worried about Madonna's knee. Oh, stop it. She's like 60-something years old. She can have a knee brace. But during last night's practice, apparently Madonna, she injured her leg and needed to have it immobilized. And that's what we're looking at here. Yeah, you know why? Because she's in her 60s and she can't dance the way she used to. And she probably still surrounds herself with like 50, 25-year-old yoked gay men. And she thinks that she can like do all the stuff that they can do. And she can't because she's grandma. And this is what happens. Oh, there you have it. Look at her face. I don't know how big you can see that, but it looks like she bumped her knee. It looks like there's no blood. I don't see anything. She's wearing stockings, whatever. I am looking at her, though. I am looking at her. And from this angle, I have to say she looks okay. Like, I'm talking about her face, because normally she looks ridiculous. But I think she actually looks okay here. So I don't know. All right, there you have it. That's Madonna. Madonna's making everybody pay attention to her again. I bumped my knee. Should we call an ambulance? Oh, I don't know if that will be necessary. But everyone come and take care of me. I'm Madonna. I bumped my knee. Oh, I'm getting woozy. I must lay down in the middle of the studio. She is such a piece of work. Madonna. All right, that's it. I got nothing else prepared for you, folks. Well, you know what? Let's look at Twitter. The disappointment, the eternal disappointment that is Twitter trends. God, they're so bad. Here's what Twitter is telling me are the most important trends in the world. And somehow I don't think they are. John Goodman, why is John Goodman trending? Danny Masterson's trending. We just talked about Danny Masterson. Has he been wait a second. Hold on. Did he get sentenced? Because that story was like 39 minutes ago. Los Angeles. Okay, breaking news. Woo! Oh my God. Los Angeles judge sentences that 70s show actor Danny Masterson to 30 years to life in prison for the rapes of 2 women. Ooh, my God. All right. I need somebody credible as a second source, because I just read somebody's tweet. That's just somebody named, hold on, whose tweet? That's just some dude named Phil. He just sent it. Here we go. Associated Press. That 70s show actor Danny Masterson has been sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for the rapes of 2 women 2 decades ago. All right. Let's go for a third source. We got a third source. We'll take AV Club. All right, AV Club is also confirming it. All right, this apparently just went down in the last couple of minutes. Okay, so there we have it. Danny Masterson, we just talked about it. He's going to jail. Good riddance, Hyde. Hyde was always a sketchy dude anyway. I never liked Hyde. He's probably my least favorite character from that 70s show. And by the way, that 70s show is a great show. That's such a good show. That really is a good show. You can watch that back. That's one of those shows that I like to watch with my kid. Like when we eat dinner, when you just need to throw something on for like a half hour while you're eating it, because, God forbid we have to talk over dinner. That 70s show is one of them that we put on. It's a good show. It's funny. It's a funny show. Red is so cool. Yeah. And, it's the show. Look, it's the show that it's undeniable. It's the show that gave us Mila Kunis, right? Can never take that away from us. And it also gave us the other one. Who's the redhead? I like the redhead too. And it gave us Ashton Kutcher. Who's Topher Grace? They keep trying to make Topher Grace a movie star. Topher Grace keeps showing up in movies. You're like, oh, it's a good role for him. And then, maybe he should have been Spider-Man. Like if he had been cast as Spider-Man, he seemed like a guy that could play Spider-Man back then. I don't know, whatever. Who else? Fez. Fez ain't done nothing. I ain't seen Fez. I don't know what Fez does. Do you remember when Fez? Okay, so Fez was this character. He was kind of like a Latka character, or for younger, maybe a Belky. Remember Belky from Perfect Strangers? That was sort of the role that Fez had to play, the foreign exchange student who was just fish out of water and always confused by these things. But then in real life, like Wilmer Valderrama, who played Fez, he was like a Latin lover in real life. So it was this weird. And what was Fez? Did they ever say what ethnicity Fez was? Because Vilmer Valderrama, isn't he South American? Vilmer, isn't he like Colombian or something? I don't know. But what was Fez? Fez, the name Fez makes me think he's Moroccan. Was he playing a Moroccan guy? Racist. All right, Danny Masterson. Danny Masterson is trending. All right, let's go to Google. Let's go to Google Trends. Let's see what Google is going to say. Google Trends. Let's see what the absolute latest thing. Google's the best for this stuff. Twitter's garbage. Although John Goodman is trending, and now I'm thinking about why is John Goodman trending? Is John Goodman dead? He better not be. I love John Goodman. Righteous Gemstones. You guys watching Righteous Gemstones? Very good. Very good. Let's see. Thunderstorm. Apparently there are thunderstorms. That's trending number 1. Hybrid event. Netherlands. Ghana football. Security. Yeah, there's nothing. Danny Masterson. There you go. Travis Kelce. Will Travis Kelce play tonight? How Travis Kelce ain't going to play tonight. Did he sprain his ankle? No, my kid sprained his ankle too. My kid sprained his ankle last Friday. He's playing today. He's playing tonight. He's got to gut it out. He's got a brace. My kid, I sprain my ankles all the time. I have little chicken ankles. Like if you look at me, I'm shaped like a bell. I'm shaped like the Liberty Bell. You know, I'm like head, and then like I kind of get wider, and then like narrow, and I go down. And I got my legs are little. I got little chicken legs. I got the legs of a much thinner man. And because of this, my ankles, I have the ankles of a much thinner man. You know, my whole life, people have said, you got chicken ankles. And because of this, I always twist my ankles. Because for some reason, have you ever seen a woman with like a long giraffe-like neck? And you're like, she's not a freak, but it's obviously a little bit longer than most people's neck. That's how my ankles are. My ankles are just like a little bit longer. And I can put my hand around it. Like I can put I'll show you. My little chicken ankles. See, look at how narrow my chicken ankles are. See, check this out. And you know, I'm a big fat guy, so I need more of a base. So I always sprain my ankles. I twist my, oh my God. There are times when I lay in bed at night and I think, God, I wonder when the next time I'm going to sprain my ankle is going to be. Because it's going to happen. It's going to absolutely happen. At least 3-4 times a year. I'll step on a pecan in the backyard. I'll twist my ankle. Hit a step wrong, twist my ankle. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Sometimes the ankle will just give out. And it sucks. And it is the most intense pain for about 90 seconds. And then I just walk with a limp and I'm fine. They're also rubber. They're like rubber. They're like elastic. So all it does is hurt, but it doesn't need any kind of. My son, on the other hand, he's got tree trunks. He's got absolute gigantic tree trunks for ankles. So when he sprained his ankle, I was like, well, you know, that can't be genetic because your ankles are tree trunks. His ankles, my son, my 14-year-old son's ankles are like 3 times the size of mine. That's not a joke. His shoe shot. That was so embarrassing. We were going out somewhere and all I had were gym shoes. And he goes, this is a couple months ago. And he goes, I go, you don't have any other shoes than that? And he goes, no. And I go, okay, go in the closet and grab a pair of my dress shoes and put those on. And he comes out with a pair of my dress shoes and they didn't fit him. He's wearing a size. He's like, I wear like an 11 and he's like already at like a 12.5 at 14. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. All right. What else is trending? No, nothing here. Oh, you know what? Let's check a news aggregator. Sometimes it's fun to just check a news. What's a good news aggregator? AP? Let's go Reuters. Go to Reuters. No, let's go to Drudge Report. Oh, I used to play a game with Drudge Report. Although I don't know if I can still play this game. I read every headline on Drudge Report in the manner in which I think it was written. And it's almost always real snarky and real. Like everything on Drudge Report is written that way. All right, what are they doing? Drudge Report's talking about the dollar. Okay. Talking about Nikki Haley. Musk secretly used Starlink to foil Ukrainian drone attack on Russian ships. It bores me. Let's see here. The decomposition of Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know what do you think that could be about? Rotten Tomatoes is the critic site where you can find reviews on everything. I don't know. A lot of talk about Hurricane Lee, which is apparently going to completely miss us, but they're not really telling us that. They're just going, Category 5, and it's picking up steam. And then you look at it and you're like, but the models say it's going to totally miss us. But Category 5, warm waters, hot summer. It's like, okay, so why are you ginning us up? I'm distracted yet again. Brianna Keeler, they just rejoined CNN. Brianna Keeler wearing red pants. Oh, hold on. Update on the Pennsylvania escaped convict, Danilo Cavalcante. Hold on.
And have adjusted the perimeter to exclude both schools from the perimeter area. We've done this in an effort to minimize the impact on students and their families.
Nah, you know what? Okay, we don't need this. They got nothing. They got nothing. How can they have nothing? Did you see the video? We showed the video on last night's Radio Misfits. Did you see this guy escape? Here, I don't know if you guys saw it. So let me show you this. This is how dude escaped from this Chester County, Pennsylvania prison like 8 days ago now. Dude has been, and the crazy part is that they think he's only like within 2 miles. Like he has 8 days. He's been surviving in the woods around this prison. Here's how he got out. This is incredible. Watch this. By the way, I apologize if you were with us last night and you saw it, but here, check it out. There he is. That's Danilo Cavalcante, the guy in the t-shirt. Don't know who the tattooed man keeping lookout for is. Look at him. This is how he escaped from prison. All right. There he goes. Goodbye. And he's gone. One more time. One more time. See, that's the problem with a lot of you wannabe prison escapees. I think you overthink it. And I think old Danilo came in here and went, I might just be tall enough to be able to do this. And there he goes. Okay, so that guy has been on the run now in Chester County, Pennsylvania for the better part of how many days? Police, area around 2 elementary schools are being searched and cleared. Update on escaped murderer. It's crazy. There is a channel on here. Let's see what's happening right now. Hold on. We'll go to this. There's a channel that I've been watching every night before I go to bed on the TV. Live. Let's see. Live stream. There we go. And it has been a 24-hour live stream. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see if they're covering it now. It's just some local reporter from the Fox affiliate in Philadelphia in a car looking for the dude. It's just like nonstop. Oh, okay. So here they're showing the press conference. Let's watch a little of this.
It's very important we keep the pressure on him as we continue this hunt. Cavalcante is considered extremely dangerous, and there is a reward of up to $20,000 offered for information leading to the capture of Cavalcante. Anyone with information is asked to call our tip line at 717-562-2987. 717-562-2987. I continue to thank the community for their support and for allowing us the latitude to do
I have
our
no
jobs
idea why I can never get better sound on these
extremely
things.
stressful circumstances.
The sound here is all the way up.
We appreciate you all more than you know. And I wanted to also, because we've had a number of inquiries, I mentioned an injury to one of our tactical dogs the other day, Loki, and I wanted to provide you all just a brief update. He is doing well, has been released from the hospital earlier today.
All right, apparently giving an update on Loki, the tactical dog who was injured during the search for Danilo Cavalcante. All right, so they can't find this guy. I don't know how you can't find him. I mean, he's in a 2-mile radius. It's been 8 days. He's being seen every day. See, this is what's so crazy. Oh, you think that he just vanished? No, he's being seen like every day. Like there are people who live in this area and it's a fairly affluent neighborhood. He's like breaking into people's houses at night and stealing food out of their refrigerator and then running back into the woods. They had him pinned down 2 nights ago. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, okay, I got to stay awake because they thought they had him pinned down in a creek bed. Turned out, nope. Nope. And I couldn't stay with it. I don't know. Could have gone on to 4 o'clock in the morning, but I'm like, now, okay, this is crazy. It's crazy. He's scary. You saw the way he escaped, and now he is. I mean, are they just going to give up? Is he just going to be like Eric Rudolph? He's going to go live in the weird hills for the next. He's from Brazil. He's Brazilian. Murdered his girlfriend. Stabbed her, I think. I think that's what it was. Stabbed her like 38 times. Which, again, I'm going to point out. I mean, this is just, we're talking about the community, right? Is there like any undue threat to the community? Well, yeah, because there's a guy who's an escaped murderer who we know is capable of murder, and he's running around in the neighborhood, and he's desperate. He doesn't want to go back to prison. So, yeah, he's probably dangerous. But he murdered his girlfriend. You know, it was a fit of rage. You know, this isn't like, again, he's not a monster. It's not like there's a monster. Just leave him alone. Just don't, just stay away from him. Just don't encounter it. Don't get, first of all, if you try and stop him, I mean, he might kill you just because you don't want to go back to jail. But, I mean, he's a terrible guy. He murdered his girlfriend. But what I'm saying is he's not like Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger, which is kind of how they were painting this in the early days. There's a murderous monster on a rampage. He's escaped from prison, and you know what I mean? And they were doing it like that because it was like a nice, affluent white people neighborhood. So it's like, yes, this is a story. When in reality, it's just a guy who killed his girlfriend. He escaped from prison, and he's running around with creek beds in this fairly rural area. Police searching Longwood Gardens after a report of sightings. See, there's sightings. They're seeing him all over the place. People are like, yeah, I got him. I'm watching him. Yeah, he's, I could see him right up. He's gone. That's literally how the sightings are. Like, the dude is just disappearing. Police, every reason to believe that suspect is still in the area. That's the other crazy thing. It's been like 8 days. There's a 2-mile radius, a search area, 2 miles of the prison. They don't think he's gotten past 2 miles. Yeah. All right. That's it. I got nothing else. They haven't caught him yet. So here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping like at some point they get him pinned down and it turns into like one of those Tsarnaev brothers. Remember when the Tsarnaev brother was in the boat and there was like this long 4-hour-long police standoff? Boston police had all their guns trained on the boat. And then all of a sudden, gang, and all these. Oh my God. Maybe we'll get one of those. Maybe it'll be like a Tsarnaev brother in a boat situation. Hopefully not tonight, though. Well, actually, maybe later tonight. There is no Radio Misfits show tonight because, again, I got to go to my kids' game. God. I got to go so far to this game. It's not that far. It's far, man. Prosper? Good Lord. Prosper? I used to think Prosper was far when I lived in Plano. now I got to go all the way. I got to go to Prosper. I got to go to Prosper, and I got to stand in 107-degree temperature. Nope. 105-degree temperature. Let's see here. All right, that's it. I got nothing else. You guys got anything else? I got nothing else. No Radio Misfits show tonight. We already talked about that. Here we go. Closing theme. Thank you once again to everybody who made this show possible. Why did I leave dead people up the entire damn show? Oh, my God. I'm kind of nervous about my kids' football game tonight. I'm kind of nervous. If you'll indulge me. Oh, by the way, check this out. I don't like this. When did this become a thing? This is not fun. So I said to my kid, my kid goes, yeah, I gotta get something. My kid talks like he's from a different. I don't know what he talks like. He's like, yeah, I gotta get new drip from my game day swag. Like he talks like in a language that I don't all the time understand. But I understood his statement to mean he wants to have a really cool outfit to wear to school for game day. And I said to him, what do you mean? I go, don't you wear your jerseys on game day? And he looked at me and he went, what? Why would we wear our jerseys on game day? I go, because that's what you get to do if you're on the football team. If you're on the football team in high school, on Friday, the cheerleaders wear their cheerleader outfits to school, and the football players wear jeans and their jerseys. And it's how you know. It's how it's done. He looked at me like I was crazy. Dude wears a suit and tie. His coach makes all of the football players go to school on game day in a suit and tie, which I think is kind of cool. But, isn't that something you see at the college level? And that's something. So whatever. So he's got the suit and tie. And So here's what I'm nervous about. Now, I've told this story before, so I'll be quick about it. But the last 2 seasons, the last 2 teams my son has played on, they won 1 game in 2 seasons. Terrible, terrible collection of kids at his middle school. He had come from a winning program prior to that. He played in the Plano Park District, and they were very good. He made an elite team. Anyway, everything was very good. So he spent 2 years with this really bad team where he's a pretty good player. He's a pretty good player on a really bad team. It happens. So now he gets into high school. In the first game, they're tested against a national power, a football factory, a school where you know their football program is good. And my kid's team ties them 21-21, ties Highland Park 21-21. Then the next game, they play, a school. It's just a middle school. It's just a middling school. And they win that game like 38-6. Right. So we're like, okay, very exciting. So they did really well against a great program in Highland Park. They tied them. As a matter of fact, it was a little sketchy. Highland Park scored their last touchdown, and then the ref went, okay, that's the game. I mean, if they had ended the game a couple of seconds, it was a scrimmage, practice game. If they had ended the game earlier, my kid's team would have beat Highland Park 21-14. But they got one more possession. That's fine. Whatever. Fair. Just kids playing. Nobody's counting. Yeah, we were. We were all counting. We were all counting the scores. Anyway, so they win the next week. They win really big, 38-8, 38-6, something like that. I don't know, 38-8 or 38-6. Then last week they win 62-6. And basically, here's the thing. Through 2 official games, my son, after playing on terrible teams for the last 2 years, through 2 official games, they have outscored their opponents 100-14 in 7 quarters. Because the last game they played, they only played 3 quarters before the refs went, nope, slaughter roll. This is not. So, kind of arrogant. He's getting kind of arrogant about his team. He's like, yeah, we're good. He's like, nobody's going to beat it. And I, of course, know there are a lot of teams out there who are good. There are a lot of teams out there. And how do good teams lose? They lose when they get. So here we go. We're going into this team. We're playing this team in Prosper. They're pretty good. I don't know. I know what their varsity is. I have no idea. Nobody does any reporting on freshman football, so there's no way to know. And that is such a weird phenomena because I've seen our team play now, and I know that our team is pretty good. Really good on defense and really good on offense. I know that our team is really good. But I have no idea. There is not another sporting event that I could ever watch where I have no information about the other team. I have no idea if this freshman team that they're going to be playing is like super good or super bad. So that's a weird phenomena. But I'm nervous. I'm really nervous because they have been so good the first couple of weeks, and because the 2 previous years I had sat through some of the most gut-wrenching, awful losses that you've ever had to sit through. And now we're like crushing it. And now I'm going to go up to this game. I'm going to drive. It's an hour. It's an hour and 9 minutes away. I'm going to have to get in the car in rush hour and drive an hour and 9 minutes away in traffic, standing 107 degrees. And I'm worried they're not going to win 62-6. The bar has been set so high. First of all, if they lose, forget about it. But what if they just win like 14-6? And then it's like, what? What happened to, scoring 5 touchdowns a game? What happened to just returning kickoffs for touchdowns every time they kick you the ball? They got a return man. Got a return man on this team that is untouchable. It's just, it's like watching a little Devin Hester back there. Anyway, that's what I got to do today. I got to do, I say it like, we put it upon ourselves. Oh, that's what I got to do today. No, I'm counting the minutes. You know it. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I love you. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. Be well. Bye.
I am like the dancing bear, trained to be the best. I am on a never-ending quest. I can smile a little now, things are going good. I always had to be on guard, that is understood. It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffled baffling to some. I have got an old guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401, I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I can smile a little now, things are going good. I always had to be on guard, that is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.